구원해준 나의 천사 나의 세상 난 이상 새 고향이 널 만나러
Warning, my voice incoming. Mute if needed. Wayan sat at her desk, pen gliding across the page, the quiet scratch of ink the only sound she wanted. Then the air shifted, heavy and familiar. Her shoulders tensed. Jungkook, of course he was here, with his usual grinning back. Their laughter was sharp, bouncing off the walls, slicing through her focus. If they stay away, they'll live, she thought, gripping her pen tighter. Look at this little boy, one of them mocked, this tone dripping with childish amusement, closing the distance. Wayan's pen stilled. She closed her notebook with a soft thud and raised her eyes, the challenge in them unmistakable. Jungkook leaned lazily on the desk in front of her, his shadow falling over her books. Feisty, huh? He teased. Pesty, huh? She shot back, her voice flat but sharp enough to cut. The room filled with low ooze as his mug faltered. Without warning, his hand darted out, snatching her assignment in one swift movement, his grin lightening like a dare. Her chair scraped against the floor as she rose. Give it back, she demanded, voice steady. He lifted it higher, keeping it far from her reach. Get it yourself. She took a step forward, eyes locked on his last warning. He tilted his head, amused. And what if I don't? The smirk stayed until her patience snapped. In one sharp motion, her knee connected where it hurt most. His groan echoed in the sudden hush, his grip loosening instantly. The paper fluttered free, swaying down like a leaf in slow motion. Wayan caught it, slung her bag over her shoulder, and walked out. Her footsteps steady, not once glancing back at the boy still bent over in pain. It was only the second lesson of the day. Wayan kept her eyes on the board, copying notes without a thought straying. Until it did. Something pulled her gaze, and she turned just enough to see Jungkook watching her. His glare was unyielding, like he wanted to know if she had already forgotten what she did to him earlier. Heat trickled at her neck. She quickly turned back, pretending his burning stare meant nothing. She refused to give him attention. Then a pen slid across her desk. She gasped softly, twisting in her seat. Of course it was him. Jungkook's mouth curved faintly, as if daring her to react. She shook her head, facing the board again. Another object landed on her, this time a small piece of chalk, then a crumpled scrap of paper. Her patience cracked. She picked up the paper and threw it back at him without hesitation. Can you stop? She mouthed sharply. Her name cut through air. Wayan and Jungkook, Mr. Che's voice was stern. They both stood, though Jungkook's movements were slow and unbothered. Wayan already regretted reacting. Detention, the teacher declared. Her stomach sank. Just an hour, she told herself. Till next Tuesday, he added. Wayan blinked. Sir, today's Monday, she muttered, but his glare silenced her. She sank back into her seat, dread pouring in her chest. Detention with him for 7 days. The thought sat in her eyes like horror. After the final bell, Wayan walked slowly toward the classroom where detention was held. The hallway was nearly empty, her footsteps echoing softly. Inside, Mr. Che was already seated, his eyes lifting to meet hers. She bowed politely before sitting down. "And where's him?" Mr. Che asked, his voice carrying the weight of expectations. Wayan shook her head. "Don't know, sir." He sighed and nodded. returning to his papers. Moments later, the door creaked open. Jungkook strolled in like he owned the room. "You're late here too," Mr. Che remarked sharply. Jungkook's eyes flicked toward Wyan, a brief glare passing over his face before he sauntered to the last row. He dropped to his seat, ignoring their reprimand as if it never happened. "You will stay in an extra 10 minutes, John Jungkook," Mr. Che declared firmly. Jungkook sighed but said nothing, placing his head on the desk, eyes closing. Wyan opened a book and began to study, though her mind drifted elsewhere. She pictured her friends at the park, laughter and sunlight spilling into the air while she was here. Not just today, 6 more days of this. The thought made her chest tighten with frustration. She pushed it away and focused. "So you both will write this down, your assignments," Mr. Che said, setting an open book in front of them. Ryan looked at the pages, then at him. "So you must solve these yourselves," he continued, his tone leaving no room for argument. Ryan sighed quietly. Problems after problems, she thought. Only I had stayed quiet when Jungkook annoyed me. "Jungkook, come here and solve these problems," Mr. Che called. Jungkook rose lazily, dragging a chair to sit beside her, his posture relaxed. Wayan bent over the desk, pen moving steadily as she worked through the math problems. The pages began to fill with her handwriting, the faint scratch of ink the only sound. Jungkook sat beside her, his eyes following each moment. Mr. Che leaned back at his desk, scrolling through his phone, the faint glow reflecting on his glasses. Wayne glanced up at Jungkook. "Can we finish this quick and leave? We can't go until it's done. You know that, right?" Jungkook met her gaze, leaning slightly closer. Their faces were only inches apart, and Wyan fought to keep her chest from tightening with nerves. His eyes lingered for a bit longer than necessary. "I hate math," he murmured. "I don't care," she replied flatly, turning back to her notebook. Her pen moved again, each number and formula flowing into place. Out of the corner of her eye, she noticed Jungkook's pen start moving too, copying each line she wrote. Ryan's pen hovered above the paper, the formula staring back at her like an unsolvable riddle. She glanced at her watch. 10 minutes left. "Mr. Che, could you please help me with this problem?" she asked, her voice steady. "Help each other," he replied, adjusting his clothes before raising. "Leave when you're done." He slung his bag over his shoulder and walked out. Ryan's eyes widened, watching him disappear through the door, the silence in the room deepening. She turned to see Jungkook still copying her work, his eyes fixed on her handwriting. "You're repeating the lines. Can't you check it properly and copy down?" she snapped. He looked up, pen passing midair. "What is your problem?" "Give me your phone." Ryan exhaled sharply as she said. "Why?" His brow rose. "I have to solve this one. We can't leave until it's done." "Oh my God, give it to me," she said, hand outstretched. His smirk returned. "What if I do not?" The question was the same one he had asked earlier. He blinked, almost expecting another blow, but she moved quicker, her hand diving into his pocket in search of the phone. "Hey," he barked, shifting in his seat as she searched. Her fingers moved to his coat pocket before he caught her wrist. His grip firm. "What are you doing?" he asked, realizing only then that he had been holding his breath. Her eyes were sharp, cutting through the moment. "What am I doing?" I'm trying to go home, she said simply. He released her wrist, pulling his phone from his coat pocket and unlocking it. Which one is it? He asked. She pointed to the problem and he began searching online for the answer. Why sighed, her head sinking onto the desk, exhaustion settling over like a weight. The classroom felt too quiet now, save for the faint clicking of his phone as she waited for him to find the solution. It is here, Jungkook said, tapping Wayne's back. She jolted upright, only for her forehead to collide with the hard edge of his phone. She yelped, rubbing the spot, that sharp ache making her eyes narrow. Yeah, copy it down, he said without a flicker of sympathy. Ruthless, she muttered under her breath, still for holding her forehead. He leaned back casually. This is what you get if you hurt me, he added, holding the phone. She took it reluctantly, her pen scratching across the paper as she copied the formula. That was when she saw it, a soft glow of notification lighting the screen, a girl's name appearing above a sweet, tender message. Mayim blinked, her expression neutral, hiding any sign that she had noticed. Her hand kept moving, writing the answer carefully while Jungkook's gaze stayed fixed on her page, quietly copying. The room seemed smaller, the silence heavier between each click of his pen. He was her bully, the constant shadow in her days. He teased, provoked, and disrupted her peace at every turn. Sometimes she wished he would transfer schools. Sometimes she wished he failed every subject, and yet that message left a dull ache in her chest. She was never quiet when he came her way. She fought back every time, almost broke his bone once, even pulled his hair. And now he sat beside her, casually copying her work, his phone resting in her hand.